Let's discuss this situation with Professor Danny Shaw. He is with the City University of New York, who joins us out of the same city via Skype. Professor, it's good to see you and have you with us on the show. Please share with us what you think about the latest developments, for Israel in targeting those health centers and, basically tightening the grip on the Gazans, the way it does today.
This is horrific. This is a tragedy. Even Human Rights Watch and Kenneth Roth, who usually function as the humanitarian arm, imperialism and regime change, have denounced these bombings in the apartheid-like situation that's existed for Palestinians at least since 19. It's clear for the entire world to see this is not a Middle Eastern conflict. This is not a fair contest when on one side you have 10 deaths and on the other side you have hundreds and hundreds of deaths. It's somewhere in the 250 range as we speak, when you have tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians. Let's call this what it is. These are ongoing massacres. This is a slaughter. This is displacement. This is ethnic cleansing. This media, we do not get this wrong, because they're deceiving the American people and they're trying to deceive an international audience.
Professor, it's interesting in a sad way that, there are international world bodies looking over this. Even the UN has come out and talked about this, but, it's just, it seems to be talk for talk. They have actually called for the International Criminal Court. It's not them, actually, or if I'm not mistaken. It's, some bodies have actually asked for the case to be taken to the International Criminal Court. But, I was thinking, Professor, even if it is taken to that court, what good is it going to Gazans today? And really, is it really going to have that leverage to hold Israel accountable for any of these things that it's doing, regardless of the political discrepancies?
The Israeli government or Zionism has never been held accountable. There's an incredible double standard that we can all see. The Israeli Defense Forces, backed, of course, by the U.S. government, even today at the height of this genocide, of this massacre, Biden approved today $750 million in arms sales to the Israeli government, to Netanyahu. Biden has refused to say, to denounce Israeli war designs and the escalating violence against the Palestinian people. This violence has also affected not just Gaza, but the West Bank. We've seen these white supremacist Zionist mobs going through the streets of Jerusalem, searching for Palestinians. So this is an unfair contest, and I think the point that you're making is 100% correct. The United States will continue to exercise its veto power, rendering the UN useless. The UN and these other quote-unquote international organisms are playthings in the hands of the Israelis, in the hands of the United States. What we are seeing is tens of thousands of people taking the street in the United Nations, in front of the Israeli consulate where I am here in New York City. Tens of thousands in the streets of Chicago and Dearborn and Detroit, Michigan. So this is truly an international movement of solidarity. So in terms of the public relations war, or the informational or the media war, we have to think in all these different dimensions. I think that the Palestinians are winning that battle in a sense. Netanyahu and the Zionists cannot cover in any way this untold violence that they continue to deliver on to Palestinian women, children, families, civilians. And of course, the New York Times headline is always Israel versus Hamas, the IDF versus the people of Palestine.
Mm-hmm. Professor, without really forming or having any preconception, if somebody enters the world of world news or the world politics today and does not have any prejudgment about Israel, if they see two powers, one quite stronger than the other one, in a conflict, that the stronger is actually destroying the schools, the salination, the water plants, no matter how much political problem you've got together, and then, killing the civilians of the other party in disproportionate numbers. What kind of a message that person with no preconception will receive? What kind of a judgment, will people have when Israel is sent without any misjudgment, without any prejudgment or preconception?
Yeah, one could only be in defense of the everyday people of Palestine. In the words of Malcolm X, the truth is always on the side of the oppressed. And that is perhaps, again, the educational battle, the media battle. That is the work that we have to do on Twitter, on social media, in the streets, in the educational system. How many fearless Israeli teachers and journalists, unsung heroes, anonymous heroes, are standing with the people of Palestine. They know that this is not a race issue or a religious issue or a national issue. This is an issue of against the indigenous people of Palestine. And of course, the U.S. government would line up behind settler colonialism, because look what they've done for centuries and centuries against indigenous people. So I think that is the apt historical analogy in terms of educating people here in the United States. If you want to understand Palestinian History 101, look no further than what the U.S. government has done to the native nations of this country for decades and centuries.
Mm-hmm. Many, many thanks, Professor Danny Shaw with the City University of New York, out of New York. I really appreciate your presence and your time.